Welcome, everyone, to Friday 15 with Master B2B. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoar, my partner in our thought leadership series and community of B2B e-commerce professionals. Andy, happy Friday.
Yeah, good to be here. It sounds like the band is back at full force. I think somebody was on vacation last week. We had
That's
some
right.
music issues, but
That's right. Well, we got a great topic today. We're going to be previewing a topic at our workshop next week at the University of Chicago for a special event following our summit. We're going to get into that in just a minute. We're going to be talking all about AI, of course. What else? What else is new these days? Very exciting stuff. Well, welcome everyone to Friday 15. We are excited that you're here. And of course, as usual, before we get started, we need to do our breaking news. Andy, did you see this? OpenAI is scaling back its ChatGPT shopping ambitions. In other words, they're rolling back some of their e-commerce capabilities that would allow people to buy within the ChatGPT, sort of answer engine experience directly from that experience, as opposed to referring the traffic to an e-commerce site. They had launched this, Andy, with Shopify and done some initial testing around it, but they backed off from it. And reportedly, a lot of it has to do with their focus. They wanted to regroup and kind of focus in some other areas. And I think maybe it wasn't getting the take rate that people expected. And this was particularly of concern amongst travel companies like Expedia and others. If you think about the different aspects of e-commerce, that particular sector was an area where there was concern about ChatGPT really taking share there. In fact, Expedia's shares shot up significantly yesterday on this news that ChatGPT or OpenAI is backing off here. But what's your take on this, Andy?
yeah, I think they're backing off for now. I have to caveat it by saying for now. I think the trajectory is still pretty clear that if you have a relationship with an answer engine, that's a fundamentally different thing than what we had even a couple of years ago. And if that answer engine can deliver what you need, that's the problem right now. Is I think these guys got ahead of themselves. They thought, similar to what Amazon thought in 2015, hey, we'll set up Amazon supply, disintermediate all the distributors, and just sell everything directly to businesses. Oops,
Yeah.
It's a lot more difficult than you thought. That said, this is a fundamentally different relationship. And if it becomes more like that, especially when it moves to, say, audio, and you have a lapel on your pin and you're a guy working out in the field, you say, hey, this thing
Right.
just broke. I needed this, this, and this. Is not going to say, great, let me send you to this website where you can complete the transaction after you enter your username. It's not going to be like that. So if they can remove friction along the way, this may be long-term still a viable path.
I don't know, Mr. Hoare. I don't think I agree with you. This feels like Facebook shopping to me. Like it's just a different use case. It's not. There's more. People want to buy from the distributor, from the manufacturer, from the retailer. To me, this whole the shopping, even if you look at what Google's done with travel and Google's done even with shopping. I mean, it's transferring you over to another site. This to me, this has been proven. I could be wrong, and maybe you're right. The relationship with an agent is different than the relationship with a search engine. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. But to me, it's still, I don't know if the B2B buyer or the consumer is ready to buy through an LLM. Now,
Yeah,
it's different.
It feels a lot like what people. Yeah, it feels a lot like people said many years ago. We can have a whole debate about this. I'm not sure people are ever going to put their credit card online. I'm not sure they're ever going to buy anything over $50. We've heard a lot of this stuff before, and I always go with what do buyers want, and convenience always wins. However, there are some infrastructure issues here, right? The fulfillment has to be done, the customer support. These are not insignificant issues. And if somebody can crack that code, I think it's possible this could happen, but
Maybe.
we will see. Yeah.
We'll see. It's all going to be evolving over the next few years. And Google is going to be in a good position to try this too. Well, folks, next week we have our summit at the University of Chicago. And we are full. If we have folks that are interested still in joining us, you can go to our website to join our wait list. Go to masterb2b.com and submit on summit. But, Andy, this is going to be a fantastic event. We have a few hundred people coming to the University of Chicago for 2 days of in-depth discussions. And in fact, today we are going to preview a special workshop that is following our summit. We'll get into that in just a moment on day 2 in the afternoon. And that's March 11th. But folks, again, if you want to join our summit, please get on the wait list now. We may have a few folks last minute that can't make it, and we can try to slot you in. I also want to remind folks that we have our forum where we continue these conversations, Master B2B forum. It is free. It's practitioner only. It's available on our website. You can apply to become a member there just by going to masterb2b.com and look for the forum sign. So, Andy, today we're talking about this workshop we're going to be doing on March 11th. And it's all about turning data into dollars in the age of agentic commerce. That's we'll define what agentic commerce is in a few minutes here. But the fact of the matter is companies are struggling to understand how they should optimize themselves for appearance and relevance in these answer engines, LLMs, like Google Gemini, like ChatGPT, like Claude, because the fact of the matter is, the traditional search volume is dropping. Gartner projects that that will drop as much as 25% by the end of this year as users shift their behavior to chatbots, virtual agents. That's still maybe, Google, of course, but it's the Gemini, and there's no click, right? And that's the big difference here.
Well, Brian, too, these are blending together. That's the other thing that's interesting.
Yeah,
if I go to the box and I ask a question and it comes back with a list of URLs, then that might be called traditional search. But if it comes back and asks me questions like, guided selling kind of stuff, or if it starts a conversation with me, what is that? So this whole idea of what search is, quote unquote, we were talking before the Friday 15 about that, like the whole definition of what this is. Some people call it an intent box. I think the word search
is being redefined.
The days are numbered here. So the whole thing's blending together too.
No, it's fascinating. So I asked ChatGPT to create me a model of when the answer engine volume or queries to answer engines would exceed that of traditional search. And it told me 2029, right? So we're only a few years away here, 3 years away from answer engine search being more searches occurring there than in traditional quote unquote search. And the fact of the matter is today, Andy, that, according to a survey of CMOs by this organization called IT Pro, only 5 to 12% of marketing budgets are going to AEO or GEO, generative engine optimization is the other word for it, versus 25+% going to traditional search like SEO and paid search. But 94% plan to increase investments in AI search optimization. So that's our topic today. We're going to talk about, the question is how do you do it, right? And this is the topic of our workshop: is how do you actually optimize and then leverage this for your business? How do you stay relevant as this whole search landscape shifts? And then how do you prepare your data content for this shift? How do you feed out information to these engines and stay relevant? And then also, how do you use these tools in your own website for search? I mean, you got Amazon deploying Rufus for B2B and B2C searches. You've got e-commerce companies that are at the cutting edge, like Amazon, employing this on their own sites. So to tackle this, we have a special guest today, Mr. Andy Didyk, the Chief Executive Officer of Ntara, to joining us. And Andy will be facilitating the workshop after the summit as well. He's our lead host there. So we're excited to have you there. Andy, welcome. What is an Ntara? Tell us.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Brian and Andy both. So Ntara is a systems integrator and consultancy, and we are helping manufacturers, distributors, retailers, and other companies navigate this challenging landscape of how do we manage our product information, whether it's B2B or B2C, across all the different channels that it needs to go to in order to make transactions happen.
Excellent. Okay. So, and you do a lot of work with this AI stuff, right?
You could say that, yes. Yeah, we do AI.
Brian calls it. He calls it AI stuff.
That's right. So what the heck, Mr. Didyk, is agentic commerce?
Ooh, what a loaded question. What a loaded question, Brian. So the technical definition of agentic commerce is it's AI agents autonomously making purchases on your behalf or my behalf, anyone's behalf. So where that gets us into trouble is it's kind of like e-commerce. What's the definition of e-commerce? We use e-commerce to talk about a lot of different things, right? There's merchandising, there's warehouse management, there's fulfillment, there's all this stuff that goes around it. And I think agentic commerce is similarly confusing, where the strict definition is there's a purchasing agent that's talking to another agent and making a transaction, or talking to a website and making a purchase on your behalf. But in the broader sense, and I think what Gartner and everyone else is concerned about is the more, I guess, the looser or more global definition of people using answer engines as a significant part of their purchasing process, and making decisions.
And that's what we're going to talk about at this workshop, is how, we're going to be filled with manufacturers and distributors and brands who are trying to figure out how do they stay relevant as this landscape shifts. So tell us maybe a little bit about, the agentic engines and how, some of the fundamentals of this shift that's occurring, Andy. And as Andy Hoar said, kind of the blending of all this. What's going on here? Give us some context.
Sure. Well, it's a space that's moving tremendously quickly, as everybody is, I think, well aware. And I think what is really unique for your audience in the B2B space is that, the king of all of this data is contextual data. It's when you're asking an engine to help you in a B2B purchasing decision, to make a decision, the more context it has, the better it is at finding the right associations to determine that a product or service is right for you. But what's unique in the B2B space is that so much of that data is locked up behind a paywall or a password protected site.
Right.
And how many B2B e-com sites practitioners do you have? Their entire site, even their product data, basic catalog is locked up behind a password protected site. You can't even get in there without having a password. So that leaves the answer engines with a lot of challenges, because they can only see what they can see. And they can see a lot. And it's pretty incredible what they can see. But everything you're withholding from them, intentionally or unintentionally, it's going to find something to substitute that with and provide an answer to your audience. And what the challenge is right now is that A, people don't have a good consolidated way of getting visibility of what those answers are that are being provided by the engines. And B, they don't have any visibility over what data they should be releasing in order to be ahead of their competitors, so that the engines can give a better answer and put you at the top of that list of what should I buy for this or that.
So Andy, we often, go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead, Andy.
So we often get questions about this, and I think somebody characterized it once as, are we going to be entering a new age of a content arms race, in that whoever, you just said it, the engines are going to, if they don't have the information, they're going to find the information, right? So if you don't have it and your competitor does, there's a good chance the AI engine is going to go to your competitor and grab that information. So A, is that true? And B, if that's the case, what do you do about it? Because you can't just you can't just throw everything out there and hope for the best. It's not a spray and pray kind of environment.
I think there is a strong case for the content arms race metaphor, that we are working towards who can get the best, most accurate information to the engines. But I think an important point to stop at along the way to answering this is, engines don't know anything. They don't know that it's the right product for you. They're making an association using the large language model and a series of logical assumptions that it's correct for you. So by withholding information as an organization, I would make the argument you're actually doing a disservice to your clients. Now, because they may not have the ability to understand what product is going to end up being right for them for the search engines for the same reason. Now, that could quickly get to a place where you say, well, should we expose everything, including products that are in development, so that way people know where we're going? I think there's a lot of debate that's going to come in the coming years about that. That doesn't really impact where I think most of your audience is right now, which is they're going to hit Claude, they're going to hit Gemini and say, why is my stuff not showing up here? I just had a conversation with a Fortune 200 client saying, I got on to Gemini and I asked it, what's the best industrial supply for X? And he said, we don't show up. And they're a Fortune 200 company. They don't show up at all. So those are the questions that people are asking. And I think releasing content is one of the answers to that question.
And that's what's so fascinating about this, Andy D. Well, both Andy squared. That look, for a long time, B2B companies have been very reticent to release information because, they're worried about competitors learning about it. I can't tell people about my what products, brands I'm carrying if I'm a distributor, or my prices. Oh no, can't release prices. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Is the advantage of showing up in the LLM, that going to tip the scale so that we finally get the transparency in a lot of these categories that we haven't had because companies have been holding back. I don't know. I think we're gonna wait and see, right? What happens? But any thoughts on that? I mean, is this going to give us is this the tipping point now where a company says, yeah, okay, now it's time for me to be transparent?
I think that there was a massive light bulb that went off somehow January 1st, for at least in my experience. Every B2B executive that I know suddenly had AI initiatives in their OKRs, in their corporate objectives, in everything. And they didn't in December of 2025. Yep. So I think that tells you everything you need to know, that everyone is very concerned. I think the chart that you showed that ChatGPT made is actually quite conservative in terms of the impact that's happening. I mean, think about the decisions that we're all making. I know that I'm making as the head of a company about how to evaluate what products and services are going to be best for us. It starts with the answer engine. And it doesn't just start some of the time, it starts every time.
So Brian, this is fascinating because I personally think the multi-click versus zero-click environment is a different environment, because we saw a preview of this, didn't we? It was called e-commerce. Right. Google, you go to Google and you type in a search, and then it said, tell me what the price and availability of this product is. Well, Andy D, we had the same issue. Companies had to decide whether to give that pricing and inventory information, right? Some did, some didn't. But I think what moderated the transformative effect of that is that Google could still show multiple URLs, right? Some people gave it, some people did, and you still had a lot of options, right? In this environment of a zero-click environment, they have to pick a winner. And do you think they're going to pick a winner that didn't give them pricing and availability information? Probably not.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So Andy D, we're going to be covering some of the practical things. And what I love about what we're going to do at this workshop is it's going to be very hands-on. People are going to be working on searching for their own company. Am I relevant today? Am I not? Mm-hmm. And then what to do about it. So, I know obviously on a Friday 15, we don't have time to go into all the details, but what are some of the tactical or practical things companies can do to start showing up in these answer engines and make their company relevant in those searches?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's changing every day. So I think that the corporate answer is you need to develop a practice around this. You need to have a center of excellence around it. There needs to be monitoring. The search engine optimization, the SEO companies are already developing AEO type packages that they're deploying. We can start to get an idea of how you're showing up. But where they are falling short, I've found for product-focused companies, which is who we serve, those that are making and or distributing physical goods through multiple channels, is they're not focused on the accuracy of the information. It's all of those SEO and AEO things are showing up as, do I show up? Am I mentioned? Do they say, come to Ntara for these services? And yeah, you can feel pretty good that they do. But what they're not saying is, are they representing our process, or if I were selling products, the specific product specifications correctly, or is that product out of date? And those things I think are going to become more and more critical over time. But what you asked about was practically what can people do? We need an emergence of tools to help us to get to this place. We're developing some of those as we speak to help answer that question of, are my specifications showing up correctly? But it starts with being curious and getting in and actually querying these engines to find out, do we show up or not? And then there is a path we're going to go through in the workshops that's really logical to figure out why or why not you are, and what hidden data treasure troves are within your organization that you could unearth and surface to these engines to give more context and help them to make better decisions.
Yeah, we're all learning, Andy and I, H and I included, I mean, all of us are, about what the techniques are here. I'm really looking forward to this. And, we have a huge number of people that are coming to this thing because I think everyone else is trying to figure it out too. Andy D, I want to get your reaction to our LinkedIn poll. We asked the question, what search engines do you use for work-related searches, traditional engines like Google or answer engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude? And the audience on LinkedIn said 67% said they're using answer engines for work-related searches, not traditional search. Only a third said traditional search. Any reactions to that?
I think if you make that poll again in 2 weeks, it'll be 80-20. Because one observation I have is that those who have gone to answer engines, they don't go back. You don't go back to Google to ask, I know we're looking at purchasing some security software for compliance reasons, and we did it. It started out with a traditional approach. We provide software selections for PIM and DAM, so we've got a pretty robust process for this, and we're having to rebuild a lot of that process, frankly, because the answer engines can do a lot of it for you, but with that big caveat of if they have the right information and context. Right. So there's this blind trust we can put in these things. I do stand by that people are not going to go back to traditional search, but there's something about verifying a link that you clicked on and read through yourself versus trusting the paragraph that comes back. And it's simply going to be borne out by experience. The better this gets, it's going to be a flywheel that'll continue to grow and provide value.
Well, Brian, that's why the whole notion of ChatGPT doing ads is another huge variable here, because if they undermine their credibility with that, I mean, we saw the Super Bowl commercials where, who was it? It was not Claude, but Anthropic was making fun of the fact that ChatGPT is going to start accepting ads and that they would just start pushing you in a direction you want to go into. So this credibility issue, Andy, you mentioned, is absolutely critical.
Well, I think they've played it a bit, haven't they? I haven't seen any ads yet. I think anyway, I've heard some rumblings that ChatGPT is not doing it. We talked about it, Andy. Remember in a prior one of these, is that the thing that's going to push, Google over the edge and really give them the leadership position if ChatGPT does that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, there's a tremendous opportunity here. And if we go back to the analogs we have for this, the rise of social media, mobile commerce, all of these things, they started out purely being task oriented or purely showing you the feed of only your connections. And then over time, they had to make money, and they've added things that have diluted the experience. And I think that this is a model that Silicon Valley has a lot of experience with running and exploiting just how far it can go. I do expect output quality to become lower. I do expect some pay to play to become part of the equation. But in the end, having solid structured data about what it is that you're offering to the marketplace and providing the context of the answer engine of not just this is what this product is, but this is what it's appropriate for, and this is who should be considering buying it, will become absolutely paramount in the process.
All right. Well, we got to leave it there for time's sake, Andy. We're well past our Friday 15. Andy D, thank you very much. We're really looking forward to this session next week. It's going to be awesome. And thank you again for doing it. Thanks for being on our Friday 15.
You bet. Thank you all.
All right. So, Andy, Andy H, couple quick announcements. We've got our Nexus service, which is your personal B2B digital lifeline. Go to our website to find out more. It's a paid service for practitioners. Gets you answers quickly and avoids risk. It is a fantastic value add to our members of Nexus. We're getting our members together next week. I think about 20 of them are going to be at the summit. So it should be really great. And then finally, I want to remind everyone that our Friday 15 is available in podcast form on your favorite podcast service. Please give us a review. We would appreciate that, only if positive. Just kidding. You can be honest and transparent, because we are honest and transparent. Andy Hoar, any final words of wisdom for our community here?
I won't, but I could go on for days thinking about some of the stuff that Andy mentioned. And one thing that popped in my head that I want to mention is there's going to be a battle for the buy box, like we always joke about. There's going to be a battle for this AI engine box, winner thing. And where it's going to get fascinating is it going to be better as a seller to be there first with less accurate data, or be there second with more accurate data? It reminds me of the whole discussion around like news. Right now, it's still an open question whether, if there's breaking news, to get out there and say we got breaking news, but we don't know what the story is, or to be second and have the accuracy about it. Sadly, I think the first one wins more than the second one, which is not a good precedent, which could mean which could mean that companies are out there battling just to be the first to get in front of you, whether or not the information's accurate or not. Watch out.
Yeah, really. Be careful, folks. All right. Everyone, thank you for joining our Friday 15, and we will see you next week, and we'll do a recap of our summit next week, Andy. Exciting stuff. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We will see you next time.